Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Avid Outdoors Podcast. We are sitting next to Chase Nation. We've got Travis Kissel and we've got Sam Ubl. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dave.
We're charter captains from Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
We're also avid outdoorsmen. We love hiking, hunting, fishing, camping, and just being outside.
We want to connect you with the experts in the outdoors and hear your story.
We're stewards of this planet, and we want to make sure the hobbies we enjoy today are available for generations to come. This is Avid Outdoors.
All right, guys, we're excited to have you here. The topic of discussion is going to be a little bit about Chase Nation in general and the whole videography, social media, all that kind of stuff, and DIY out-of-state hunts. I think that's going to be a great topic of discussion, as people should probably start planning those right about now and coming into early summer here. So,
first of all, we want to know, what is Chase Nation? How'd you guys get your start? How do you guys all know each other?
So, Chase Nation started right around the end of December, the beginning of January 2016. And Travis and myself were actually amongst, probably 4 or 5 others on the team.
Yeah, I think 5 or 6 of us for sure.
5 or 6 of us total. So four or five others on our team actually were filming with Wisconsin Whitetail Pursuit. And I mean, if you've been watching outdoor television long enough, or especially online outdoor television, Wisconsin Whitetail Pursuit was streaming on YouTube for sure in season 5, and then selling DVDs for season 1 through 4. And they were at just about every show locally in Wisconsin. I don't think we ever had a reason to go out of state to do a show because we were Wisconsin-based hunting.
Sure.
But there was a pretty big team of us, probably 11 or 12 of us, and things were starting to gradually, slow down, and there was an opportunity to do our own thing and kind of get away from maybe what wasn't working, and so started Chase Nation. And those of us that came from Wisconsin Whitetail Pursuit were immediately in, and then everybody on the team seemed to know a guy or two that had been filming for some time, and whether they filmed for another show or just been doing it for the sake of doing it because they loved it, and called those names out on our staff page, which at the time was just 5 or 6 of us, and we reached out to those individuals and asked them if they'd be interested in filming for a show, and they of course said yeah, and we kind of gambled on that because, well, why not? At that time, it was like, okay, so you film, and then you say you film, send me the footage, and we'll see what it looks like, and then if it works out, we'll use it. If not, then we won't. Well, it's just so happened that everybody that we talked to had footage that they captured that season. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We did
we were in the middle of a season when we started it up. It was late December.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's hard. I mean, it's really, really difficult to get good quality footage because you're in the moment and you're thinking of, oh, this might work, this might not. And you have to be thinking about that, I'm assuming, as you kind of go. So I'm assuming that a lot of guys probably get this idea in their mind, like, I'm going to go and film a hunt, and then all of a sudden it's like, I tried filming a hunt, or I got everything that I need, and they send it off to you, and then it's like, oh, yeah.
So that's a good point. So half the team had already, like I say, been filming for Wisconsin Whitetail Pursuit. So they had that in the resume. They already had the experience. The other half of the team, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, went out and bought a camera and then just gave it a try. It was, I've got a log of footage. We didn't use any of that really, but you got some experience, or they'd filmed for somebody else in the past.
Okay.
And so they had the experience, they had the resume, they just needed a platform to land on.
Got it. And so you're not just going out and trying to find anybody you possibly can.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, so I'm doing the editing. Brad Werwinski in the beginning did a bit of editing. But if you think about the amount of guys that are out filming and then 1 or 2 guys doing the editing,
yeah,
it becomes saturated, and then your time is really limited. And you know,
Yeah,
you just
Dave
don't have
gets
the
mad at
wherewithal.
me when I drop footage on him, and I'm one guy.
Yeah.
It's
I just think
it's
it's-
a lot of stuff in fall.
It's a little different too when you're not a part of the action. You don't know exactly what parts of the story to tell. I think you get kind of a different perspective on it. What are the most interesting things versus like what's this, you know, I think like when I capture stuff myself and I try to bring that out, like I'm the storyteller beginning to end. I think a little bit about the challenge of that might be like the storyteller kind of maybe changing hands even from one part to another. But the nice thing that I like about watching your stuff is that it looks seamless. Like it just looks like, I guess I don't have any experience on a show like yours, but gosh, it's like, it feels like when I'm there, like when I'm watching, I'm really there with that hunter, you know? So
Well, what you can take this one. What do we usually talk about?
Well, Sam will usually like this past year we filmed some intros, so like we got to talk about it a little, or like if Sam will bounce a question off you once he gets your footage and that type of stuff. But for the most part, like I think the real creative side of it is the editing. So like when I'm out there filming, my job is to get like really cool shots, and I really just, for the most part, I like to put it in his hands because I like to, like, when you film it, you always have something in your mind of how it's gonna look, but like usually once he gets a hold of it, it's better than what I could have imagined,
Yeah.
type of deal. So
and that's cool. Like I can honestly tell, you know, just the different transitions and you know, there's a right time to have music, there's a wrong time to have music, there's a right time to have graphics as well. And I think the way that you guys do that is pretty much seamless, and it's a lot of fun to just watch the product, you know.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Really, the most important thing that we always try to express across the team is you press that record button and you just capture as much as you can, because there's one rule of thumb, and that is you can never get back what you don't record, but you can always edit stuff out. And I learned that a long time ago when I filmed with Whitetail Adrenaline. And I remember Jared looking me in the eye and saying, because after I killed my buck, I was running camera on him. And he told me, he's like, you just press record as often as you need to. We can always edit it out. But if something happens, how are we going to, you know, so that always stuck with me. And it makes sense. I mean, you think about everything with respect to filming. If you're not self-filming, and a lot of our guys do. In fact, Travis does a ton of it. But if you got a guy filming for you, or if you're the guy filming for somebody, you need to immediately adapt to that person's personality, their mannerisms. Just from talking to you guys before we started recording, I can already feel like I can come film you guys, because I know when you start to pause, and that would be when I zoom in tight and I change the dynamic of the footage. So like we're getting close, okay, and then I know you're gonna stop talking and you're gonna think about something, and you're gonna say something else. Then I'll zoom out, or I might reposition myself. Because if you watch somebody talk for too long, it gets boring, right? It gets dry. All those things that we're thinking about, and yeah, it's just, it's passion. It's totally passion.
And with that passion, you know, you guys, what's your following at this point, and how fast did you grow to get to that following? I mean, you've been doing it quite a while, but like we were talking before, like it's not like flip a switch overnight. You got this great following of people, whether it's YouTube or social media.
And on the flip side of things, you can make the best stuff in the world, but if the people aren't seeing it and sharing it and this and that, it takes a while to get, you know, honestly, I think it probably takes maybe even watching 2 or 3 different things before you're like, oh, I remember seeing that guy before, like, I'm going to really get more involved here.
A lot of word of mouth.
Yeah.
Organic following is super important.
Well, just meeting people too. Like,
meeting people
at shows and stuff,
exactly.
shaking hands, saying hi, like, you know.
We did Deer Fest last year, and we got to shake hands with, I don't know, countless amount of people. That was before COVID, so we could still shake hands, you know.
This year it's going to be elbow bumps.
Elbow bumps and tip our hat. But we got to meet a lot of people, and you start to put a face to the name. But we aren't what you'd consider huge in the sense of our following. I mean, if you look at Facebook, we have just short of like 11,000 followers, something like that. And those are, but the thing is is it's purely organic. Like I told you guys at the beginning, before we even started recording, I spent $10 on promoting a post once. I got like, it said you spend $10 and you get to pick the amount of time that you promote it for. Yeah. I picked like 2 days, and it was supposed to gain like 800 to like 1,500 or some range like that of a reach, right?
Right.
Shit, I spent that $10. I missed that $10. I could have bought, a 12-pack of Busch Light or something. I would have got a lot further with it because it didn't do anything for us. It honestly, it starts with your guys and yourself reaching out to friends and family and asking people to follow you, and then they start to catch on, and then their friends see it, and it starts to organically grow. It's like
there's not a shortcut to it.
There's no shortcut, man. It's a hard deal,
especially if you want to do it organically, and that's like in any industry, whether it's hunting, fishing, or home decor. If you don't have an organic following, those people don't see what you're truly posting, and it doesn't matter because, as far as now, this is my point of view on this is, as far as organic people goes. If I'm looking to come to a company and say I can be on your promotional staff because my people will see it and they will buy your product. But if you don't have organic followers, those people, they don't care.
So that's a really good point. You think of, so when you approach a sponsor, they're looking for a number of things, but one thing in particular is, like you said, so it's no secret that there's bots. There's websites out there. I'm not going to say what they are. You can pay to grow your following. And suddenly you have 100,000 followers, but you make a post and it's the greatest picture or video in the world and you get 20 likes. Come on. You got 100,000 followers. I mean, really? You know what I mean?
Right.
But nobody's paying a damn thing of attention to it.
Right, yeah.
So they pay attention to that, but more so they think about reach. And so if you say, okay, I may have only nobody gives a damn about likes. That doesn't mean anything.
Right.
What they pay attention to is reach. And so you post a video and it reaches, it means it's crossed their news feed and they've scrolled through it. They've seen it. They've at least put the picture to their mind, right? They might not have reacted to it. We're not talking about reactions, we're talking about reach. And you start counting that reach, and then when people start approaching sponsors, whether it's monetary or product agreement, when you think about the actual dollar amount that you're trying to achieve from that sponsor, whether by product or dollar figure, they're thinking, okay, how much are we paying per person? So at the end of the year, you think you start telling, okay, YouTube, Carbon TV, Amazon Prime, Facebook, Instagram. This is our annual reach. And it's, say, 1.5 million people. By the end of the year, that's where you're at. That's how many people's newsfeed, even if it's this, the same person, there's you can't figure that part out. But then you say, okay, I'm looking for 20 grand in product or 20 grand in money. Then you divide that number, by your total reach. And then you all of a sudden figure out, it's like, okay, so when you approach a sponsor, you're saying, okay, here's my A, B, and C package to work with us. And you're looking at maybe 0.014 cents per person. I mean, okay, so if you think the number I just said, that's just a dummy number, but say 20 grand, well, that sounds like a lot up front. But if you think, okay, well, but holy crap, man, I mean, 20 grand's a lot, but we're paying for 1.5 million people to see, and it's 0.014 cents per person. You're almost selling yourself short, and you're giving yourself away.
Yep.
Sure.
But it's a lot of money for that example I just said. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how you approach that.
How do you, we kind of were talking a little bit before, there's been people that have approached you about a sponsorship and you've just said flat, I'm not going to do that because it is selling myself too short. What's, and I know that you guys are a whole team of people. Are you guys making money on this? How can you make money on this? Like, I know it's a bit of a touchy subject, and I'm always kind of curious about this too, but I think a lot of people listening right now are thinking to themselves, I'd like, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to this, and maybe they've had aspirations of starting up something of their own and thinking, gosh, is there money to be made? Could it just be a hobby? You know, what could my possible end goals be? There's so many like possibilities, I guess.
And before you kind of answer that question, this is going to be a simple one. Before you answer that question, is this your full-time job?
No, I am a
for
full-time,
either of you.
I'm a full-time carpenter.
Yeah, and I work in corporate America.
Okay.
For a mining company.
Okay.
So there you go. It's not their full-time job. So now you go ahead and answer Dave's question, because
yeah, there's money to be made. There is. But as far as myself, I'm not there. I'm a full-time carpenter, and Chase Nation for me is a hobby. Sam is the owner of Chase Nation, but like, I guess what I'm getting out of it, my end goal is kind of just to ride it out. I love filming it. I love, you can tell a story about your big buck you shot.
Yeah.
Or you can send your friends to YouTube, send them a link to YouTube.
Right.
And I like doing that. I love that. And I like I said earlier, I like what Sam does with the footage once he gets his hands on it. I like that aspect of it, I guess for me, it's not about money. I invest money into a camera and all that stuff, but I really just have kind of fallen in love with filming my hunts.
Yeah.
And I think that's important in no matter, like, if you're a fishing guy like myself or Dave, or if you want to just strictly film yourself, I think that's important that if your first and foremost goal is to make money at this, you might as well just pack your stuff up and go home. Because it's going to take, if that's your end goal, I mean, good for you, but it's going to take years to get there. So, I mean, even in my industry as a guide, like, you don't make money.
You gotta love it.
Yeah,
like,
you have to love your job.
Yeah. So the reality is that if you run a business like this, and it's Chase Nation, and that's all I'll talk about, is a registered business, right? And I have to pay taxes on it. Does it make money? Yeah, it does, right? So I sell apparel. But see, what nobody thinks about is that you have to invest into the apparel.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to invest into the gear. And you have to invest in the software and to all of that stuff. You have to invest into a music license to get licensing to use certain music. You have to pay for a website. You have to pay to maintain the website. You have to pay for the domain. I mean, there's a lot of money that goes out and very little that comes in. I mean, you're hoping that so our following isn't huge. I mean, we're over 10,000, but you think about it. Okay, so we put a post out and say we got new T-shirts for sale. Well, maybe you get 50 orders. Okay, so we don't order huge volume of inventory stock, right? So the larger your order, the lower your volume price is for inventory.
Right.
But you also have to have that side money just sitting in your pocket. So I could go spend $5,000 on inventory, and then I'm camping on $5,000. That's just cash right out of the pocket, right? That's just gone. Now you're selling, so you're paying, say, $14 or $15, 13 maybe at the cheapest for a T-shirt. And by the way, if you're doing screen printing, if you got stuff on the back and on the front, those are two different screens.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you're paying for more. It's not like, okay, well, it's just a T-shirt. Well, for the guy that's getting them made, it's like, okay, so like for us, it's like, okay, we got Chase Nation, we got a logo on the front, and then we got something on the back. Those are two screens. That's extra money. So for a T-shirt, you pay $13 to $15 for however many, and then you sell them for 20 or 25. Well, for 2.5 years, I didn't charge for shipping, and I paid. So I finally got an ass whooping from my wife. Like, you're paying out more than you're getting back, because I was spending $7 to ship an order.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting paid back. That was all of the money that would have been on top of the cost. And so we were just breaking even. And that means just breaking even on that shirt, but we're still not catching up to the total inventory, because you have to have enough stock to supplement smalls, mediums, large, extra large, 2X, 3X. And by the way, 2X are $250 each more, $350 more for 3X, and that's pretty much legit for just about anybody that, any wholesaler that's doing all the screen printing for you. And so you can't just like go online and be like, well, hey, you're ordering a 3X, so you got to pay more, because then you feel like you're being, hey, big guy, you got to pay more. So you eat that cost. Well, we do, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought about it a lot because it's so much money out of the pocket. And I thought, well, you know what? These decals that we have made, and they're all die cut. And they're badass, and they're vinyl, and they're great. They're very expensive, but if I start charging people for decal, am I making any money on it? Probably not. Because if it costs me like say $6 per decal, and I sell it to you for $8.50 or $12, like, are you really gonna pay $12 just to put my name on your truck? You know what I mean? And so we look at it like this is paid promotion. You know, not making much money, if any. In fact, we still haven't even broken even because every time we make a little bit of money on T-shirts and hoodies, we order more.
So restock time.
We always restocking, and then we're always behind. But it's worth it because then you got more people wearing your stuff out there that are spreading the word. And then somebody says, "What's Chase Nation?" Or, "I heard of Chase Nation." Or, "I saw that bumper sticker." You know, tell me what it is, and then they talk about it. And then next thing you know, you got like 20, 30 more followers in a month.
Yep.
Just organically, just people that met at a bar or wherever. That's kind of how that works. And as far as income goes, you know, we're just not at that point. Like for the first 2 years, sponsors were out of the question. We're unsponsored. The whole idea was let's grow organically. We want to relate to the average person. We are working class people, and we want to relate to the same type of individual.
Right.
Relate to the common person by hunting common ground, public land, small acre private. We work for a living, so do you. We're not pros, you know. We just document it. We're visual storytellers.
I think that's, not just besides the storytelling aspect of it in the videos, but it really feels like this could be me in those videos, that I'm watching, and I've been binging them lately, honestly,
Cool,
and I think once you get into kind of finding Chase Nation, it really becomes like, oh man, and you get to know the personalities of the team. I think of them almost as characters because you get to know them as like,
cool.
These.
We want you riding shotgun with us, dude. That's pretty much what we're going for.
Yeah, so it makes me feel like, hey, these are a bunch of Wisconsin boys, and seriously, like I grew up in Manitowoc County. A couple of you are from Sheboygan County, and kind of in the general area that we are here, and then across the state of Wisconsin. And it's so cool to be like, you kind of like pick out a background, of the video. And you're like, have I been there before? It's just, I think that makes it so real. And honestly, I couldn't see anybody who hunts in Wisconsin not liking your stuff. It's just getting that stuff out there.
I think it's kind of cool, like to capture, like, hey, I'm like sneaking out after work. Like I just put in a day, like, a full work day. Like I'm sneaking out just like you guys have to. I think it's important to like make that known and make that seen, because it makes, you're not watching a guy sit in a tower blind over a food plot. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, it's hard to relate to that.
You guys know
Right.
Matt Hosel? He's a dairy farm, or he was a dairy farmer in Lake Mills. He's part of our team, and he is, by every sense of the word, a farmer.
Okay.
He left the farm. His family still runs the farm, but he himself left and works for the county now. But he left dairy farming recently, but 30-something years, that's all he did. I mean, just from a little, tot to, mid-30s.
Gotcha.
And I went out there and I filmed him riding that skid steer around, like first cleaning all the lanes up in it's dairy farm, so he's got cows everywhere in their stalls. And then he's, putting all, I don't even know what that shit's called, all the shavings or whatever they put in there for them to bet on or whatever. And watching him do that, I filmed that for like 35 minutes. And he climbed off of that thing and he jumped in his Jeep. He's like, hop in! And he's super intense all the time, high gear. We jumped in, we drove around the block to another farm that's next door that he was leasing out. And we walked out there and we watched this buck that he had hit with a muzzleloader a month earlier, and he hit him low in the leg, and that deer had a gimp walk, and we watched that deer come into 80 yards, and we just couldn't get him to get any closer. In fact, he's still hunting him to this year. He's after him again. He had him at 12 yards just on the other side of the line. That's another story. Point is, just like Travis was talking about, man, like right out of the gate. No time to go home and shower and do that whole scent routine. brother, forget it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I could have
just
sawdust be my
realistic.
cover set.
Oh man, Jesus.
I think that's really important though. Like when you're, like for a guy like me, I get so bored and sick of watching like professional TV because it's just like exactly like what you said. You can't relate to that because not everybody has the opportunity to travel to Missouri, then Nebraska, then Iowa, and then Illinois, and have somebody scouting the farm, maintaining the farm that you own, with your big mansion of a place to stay at.
If
and
we
all
get
this
lost
other
that
stuff.
long, we're getting divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're probably gonna get fired.
Yeah.
No, it's not
Might
realistic.
be worth. Never mind.
It might be. No, man. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is so I've been asked so many times, like, what you were talking about end goal before, and what is your end goal with Chase Nation? And to be honest with you, if I wasn't doing this, I think the same, and Travis can speak for himself and the rest of the guys, but like if I wasn't doing this, I'd be doing myself an injustice, because I am so passionate about filming, and as I edit more, as stressful as moonlighting can be, I love it. I literally love it.
I mean, I remember the other year, John Utah gave you a hard drive, and you found like old deer footage from Candace, and like Sam just couldn't help himself. He had to put a short video on Facebook of it.
Two of them, I remember.
John, why didn't you tell me about this?
Yeah, I couldn't. I was actually fired up a little bit. I was like, how could you film something so cool and not give it to me? Like, I love that. It's like, if you ask any artist, and it's a type of art, producing, and
Absolutely.
you ask a graphic designer what it's like to step away from their computer when they have all the angles and all the lines that they've been tracing in their mind, and then they have to step away for dinner or just to go home for the night and then come back, and a graphic designer will say, man, it goes to bed with you. It goes to bed with, it literally has to go to bed to me, because I'm editing 10 or 11 at night until like 2 in the morning, and then getting up at 6 to go to regular work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then do daddy jobs, and then be a husband, and then back to editing, but I can't get it out of my head. It just, it like eats me alive. I've been producing something recently that is, something I've been so excited about for so long, and I just can't. Like, I was up north for 4.5 days, and all I could think about up there when I wasn't entertaining my kiddos on the pier fishing for whatever was biting was, I can't wait to get back and start working on like balancing the audio. And I was already thinking, okay, I thought I had it good, but I remember there was a couple blips there where I could have brought the sound of the wind up a little here, lowered it there. There was a little bit of white noise here. It just lives with you.
I think that's when you got it real bad, when you start thinking about audio while you're fishing.
So with respect to end goal, the idea is, okay, people always ask me, like, okay, so are you going to make money, or are you making money, or do you do this for a living? No, man, I do this for passion. It's passion driven. And my team, they all follow the same path. And the idea is, look, if it leaves you, it escapes you, there's nobody that's going to stop you from leaving. No, I'm going to miss you while you're gone. But you're here while you're here doing what you do because you love it.
Yeah.
And if there comes a point where I can pay you, my God, I will. But right now, I haven't even gotten paid. So
How much extra is your camera gear weigh? 'Cause it's a pain in the ass to haul it all in. You know what? The one time you don't do it,
no,
you know what
that's
I mean?
when something happens.
Yep. So it's like you get up and it's like I crawl in the tree and like I still use a ratchet strap. Sam's trying to break me that, but like you sit there and you're cranking that thing as quiet as can be on those quiet.
You gotta get
mornings.
the Versa straps from Lone Wolf, man. They're so quiet. Just order extras. Yeah, that's a lot of weight. The camera gear itself is 3-4 pounds just for the camera and the lens. And then you got your camera arm and a tripod. And then if you have a second or third angle camera, like a couple GoPros, or if you
I run 3 cameras every hunt.
Okay, so you got your Tacticam, your GoPro, right? And your DSLR? Or do you have an AX1?
Bridge camera.
So you just got all kinds of cameras. And then your camera arm weighs a lot. And then if you walk in and you're a mobile hunter and you got your Lone Wolf stand on your back or whatever, you're packing in there.
Yeah.
It's like packing a deer out. I mean, you get a lot of weight on there.
Yeah.
Sometimes put a backpack I don't know whatever stand you hunt with is XLP or Lone Wolf or whatever, if you're a mobile hunter or whatever you've got over your shoulders, you hunt a different tree every other hunt just because you got to keep the deer guessing and you're trying to like adapt to what you're witnessing when you're going out, right? And you're hunting on the fly and you don't have, because you're working, you don't have time to go out there and scout every damn day and sit on the edge of the field kind of like we're doing right now and just watch it coming out. But you observe. And then you move in closer, and then you move in closer, and then you kill. And when you do that, you gotta move trees. And so we pack our stands and sticks in a lot. And then you start figuring out a way to put a backpack on your stand. Well, you got like 4 sticks, on your stand, and then you got a backpack, and then you got your camera arm, and then you're lugging your camera. Then you got to get up that damn tree, and by the way, your bow hoist rope is probably, starting to rot a little bit because 2 years, 3 years old, and you're worried about it snapping, and oh yeah.
That's one thing. Sam kind of turned me on to like sticks and stand, like get in and kind of pop up wherever you got to be type of deal. And I'm pretty green to that, but Sam's been doing that a long time, so.
Well, that's what you do when you hunt like little pieces, and you're constantly getting so. That's another topic. We're talking about out-of-state hunting. So when you start hunting small acre private, that's a lot of knock on doors, ask permission. So you go and you knock and you say, hey, can I hunt here? And you go through that rigmarole and they say, yeah. And you go hunt. And then you kill a buck. And then they mention it to their brother, whose cousin also hunts and has a friend that hunts, right? And then they get back to the owner and say, some stranger came out there and shot a buck. And so you find out that it's okay to hunt unless you kill something.
Right.
If you kill something, you're out of here, right? Okay? You can hunt, just don't kill anything. And then we deal with that a lot. And when you're constantly moving parcels, you got to be mobile. And not only that, but there's also like the hunt a tree every once or twice, and keep the deer guessing motive.
So how many people are actually on your staff or your team, I should say?
15, I think there's 15 of us.
There's 15. There was 16. We had a guy down in Tennessee that filmed with us for the first couple of years, and Doc Tucker, and he was a really good friend to all of us, and he was a pretty extraordinary guy. But filming, I don't know what his reason was for wanting to just step back for a little while, but it's his own right. Like I said before, it's your own right. If it leaves you or whatever, or if you need to collect yourself. I mean, come on, it's a pain in the ass. So at the end of the season, even I'm looking at it like, I'm going to leave the camera, and then I start walking out. I leave my camera in the truck. I start walking across the field or woods or whatever, and I'm like, shit, all right, pull out my phone. I'm like, I know when it gets cold, the battery's only going to last so long, but here we go, and I start recording my phone, whatever it takes to capture it, because you just are so addicted to it. But if that leaves you, and whatever reason, we have 15 now, which is still a lot.
Oh yeah, but I was gonna say even like just like those long seasons where you're still grinding during the rut.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to get out there, and then you got to set up the camera. I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I've gotten pretty quick at it. Or like.
How many deer have you screwed up on because of the camera? I mean, not to say that you remember them all.
I mean,
no.
Truthfully, I've had to pass shots because.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's the worst. There's nothing worse. I talked to Nate Hoffman, and he's a big buck serial killer. That guy's 24, 25 years old. That guy's killed more big bucks than most guys in their 40s that have been hunting their whole lives have killed. He is a deadly dude. And I swear, when you are the guy doing the editing, you're the one collecting the hard drives, right? And the thumb drives and the SD cards. And you get to watch the behind-the-scenes shit. The stuff that they don't know, that they don't think about that they sent you, right? Because I tell them, press record and don't stop until you need to. And they don't always remember everything that they say on camera, So you get to watch it all. And when you're rough cutting, you're kind of speed. I scrub through it real fast. But I can see when they're talking, so oops, and then go back and then listen. And then it's just fluff, whatever. And then go on, and then... Suddenly you get like Nate Hoffman going, I swear to God, man, I'm never filming again. I quit after this season's done. And you're like, hey, effer, you seriously done? He's like, no, man, I was just in a bad state of mind, but I'm all in,
It's just, it just gets taxing,
Because he just passes like a 140 8-pointer, and you get 140 inches on an 8-pointer is a freaking chore.
Oh,
So when you watch it, and by the way, this 148 pointer had a hook down. It was like his main beam on his right side hooked down like 6 inches. So it was like almost like a drop time, but it was his main beam just went swoop down. It was the most beautiful buck ever at 30 yards. And he isn't shooting it because he's sitting there fumbling with the camera. And if you watch me from season 1, I shoot one of the biggest 8-pointers I've ever seen in my life. At 12 yards, I had that deer broadside dead to rights. But I'm on my right side where my camera arm is, adjusting my focus. I'm sitting there because I had my lighting down because it was first light. And I was trying to get that like cool, silhouette stuff. And if you leave it at those low exposure settings, then all of a sudden, or shutter speeds, and all of a sudden, it gets lighter, and then you're like overexposed, and it's really white, and you can't see anything. So I'm sitting there, and you can see it on film as I go, and you can see the light get better, and all of a sudden the color comes in, and it's perfect. And then I start to turn left to grab my bow, and that buck just turns his head, and he sees my movement. He's 12 yards. I mean, that's 145, 150-inch 8-pointer with a freaking 4-inch kicker off his two. I mean, he's massive. He talked about a 20-inch buck before we started recording. This buck is all of 20 inches inside.
Yeah.
And he's right there. And I'm stuck. And then you get into that staring thing where you're looking out of the corner of your eye, and you're turned, and you can't grab your bow.
Don't look right at him.
And then, as you know, and then all of a sudden, then he bounds off to 35 yards. That's when I grab my bow and I swing around, and I'm running 2 cameras, so I catch the whole thing, and I swing and I draw. He stops, but he's quartering steep away from me, and then I let fly. But in the heat of the moment, because you're not only trying to capture this all on film, but you're also like trying to kill a deer, I aim for the pocket. He's quartering steep away from me, and I hit him right where I'm aiming. And it wasn't until when I hit him when I thought, you forgot to aim for the opposite side. Right. Because it all happened so fast. And then you think about it, and then for weeks you can't sleep. You're like, I shouldn't film anymore. I injured a deer. I missed an opportunity. Could have killed him broadside at 12 yards. Instead of screwing with my camera, I could have just pulled my bow back and shot him right then. Biggest 8-pointer I've ever seen. But that's reality of it.
Yeah. That's not the point, you want to catch. Well, now you got all that film that you can watch and relive that moment. Over
Yeah,
and you know what?
Let's look at the positive
when
side.
you edit, and you know what? When you edit it, I swear you don't want to watch it again. Jared Scheffler from Whitetail Journal, if you ever talk to him, he'll tell you the same thing. After you spend so many hours producing something, you don't really care to watch it anymore. You're so sick and tired of watching that same scene over. I bet you. So Travis's turkey hunt, or John Utek's turkey hunt, probably had like 8 or 12 hours in each of those edits, right? And I'm sitting there watching that same scene, and you watch right when like the bullets or the pellets hit that thing in the head, and you're like, oh, can I slow it down? And so you rewind, watch it in slow motion. Let me slow it down to 25%. Okay, let me go down to 10%. It's too jumpy. They weren't filming in, like 120 frames. So, you're like, shoot. Okay, so I got to jump it back up a notch. And then see, it's all frame rate and what they're filming. And you never know what your guys are filming in frame rates and all that. So you're checking all the settings out. And you watch that scene so many times that it makes you almost ill to watch it again. And so when, like, your family comes over and says, hey, can we watch Chase Nation on, like, YouTube or Carbon or something, I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I'm going to go have a beer outside. Shit, at that time, I wish I smoked or something because I need something to do. I just don't want to watch it again.
Yeah.
It takes me like a year or two, and then I'm like, God, let's watch that. So that hunt in particular, man, it haunted my dreams, but I didn't rewatch that. I don't even know if I've ever watched it since I produced it because it was such a sad story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked about growing your team and stuff, and I'm sure there's a handful of people out there that are wondering, are you still growing your team right now?
You're big. You might as well get bigger, right?
So it is the wherewithal is spread so thin that it's to the point now where I'm listening. I'm putting my kids to bed. I'm tired. I've been working all day. Then my wife and I will have a glass of wine or whatever, watch our show. and I'll wait for her breathing to change. And as soon as I hear that rhythm change in her breathing, that's when I know she's drifting off. And if she does that little jolt thing where she kind of slaps me and I'm like, are you trying to get my attention? No, you're sleeping. All right. Then I know it's time to slip out the other side, lift the sheets, slip out of bed, go downstairs, get in the editing chair, and that's where I camp out until about 2, sometimes, whatever it takes, 1, 2, 3 in the morning. These guys, I mean, on the staff page, they'll see me post something at 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'll say, I'm almost done with something, or I just finished something up. Here, if you guys got a second, check it out. And the next day, I'll get a text message from one of them saying, you need to sleep. So as far as adding more guys to the team, we do get people that, you know, are interested in joining us, and I think that's the greatest compliment in the world, and I like to share that with the team so everybody knows that people respect us and that they think it's a cool thing what we're doing. You guys are all making an impact. But as far as as far as bringing somebody new on the team right now is, you know, it's everybody is somebody that we all knew. You know, these are all close friends. It's like a family more than it is friendship, truly. And it's not that anybody's not good enough to be a part of us. It's just that we just don't have the wherewithal right now.
It's the funny thing is, like, you think of it as like a team. We maybe all see each other in one gathering once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So it's like Deer Fest is usually the big one, but like it's just fun to see everyone. Otherwise, it's literally like we have a staff page on Facebook. It's like literally like back and forth on the staff page, and
we're all together. You're talking about?
Yeah, we're all together. We don't see those guys.
You guys have a Christmas party or something this year?
We have something similar. It's right around New Year's.
Hasselfest.
Yeah.
Matt Hassel usually has us all down, and
at the farm.
At his farm in by Lake Mills, and he has us all come down, and we whoever has buck tags yet usually has the bow, and the rest of us run around with cameras.
Freeze our asses off and film. There you go. And then maybe shoot pigeons in the barn and drink beers and talk a lot. Talk about stupid stuff. And fall asleep in weird places. And it's kind of the thing.
That's what you need, though. I mean, like, when you guys are so spread out and, you know, you gotta have something that gets you together physically, not just, hey, you know, like we're all watching the same stuff and you know, getting together on Facebook and stuff. There's
the out-of-state hunting, when we do that kind of thing, that's what brings us together and takes us on adventures. We're visual storytellers, but we are adventure seekers through and through, and that right there is like what we represent as a whole.
Like the adventures. I mean,
adventure.
Packing up the truck, rolling west. Kind of. I going out of state. Me and Steve Jeffrey went to Nebraska last year, and it was like we drove through. There was a huge blizzard after Thanksgiving last year. We drove through that thing to get to Nebraska, and we actually we dipped down to Iowa to avoid a bunch of it, and we ended up catching the tail end of it. But it was part of the story, you know. You kind of.
It turned a 12-hour drive into 17 hours.
16 hours.
16 hours. 4 hours tacked down. If you think about that, it's like driving from where we are to like Michigan.
Yeah, and it was like almost whiteout, but that's the adventure of it, is, you know.
On public land.
Yep.
100% do it yourself. What did you guys knock on doors, or you did a lot of it?
Yeah, we did. We went on public a bunch of days, and then we ended up knocked on a few doors, and we got onto some private out in Nebraska, and I don't know, we had found some deer. We had a good time. You know, it's a lot of it's just.
You came home with 2 deer.
We came.
That's the most important thing.
The final morning, we decided to hunt one last morning, and we ended up killing 2 deer. So it was a good time.
So you can edit this part out, but you guys mind if we like wrap this one up and then we just do another one on DIY hunting?
You bet.
Sweet.
Because that would be this is long.
That's a good idea.
But it's good.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this one went really, really well, and like, why make it an hour and a half?
I'm telling you, man, you get lost and you just start going.
Yeah.
All right. So what all platforms can people find you guys on?
We currently stream all of our videos on Facebook, Carbon TV, YouTube, and we are also on Prime. We have an IG account, on Instagram. We do Instagram TV sometimes, but I don't like the format, so it's a lot of waiting around for that to upload, for not the best experience when they narrow the screen down so much, right?
Yep.
we have a visual storytellers series on Amazon Prime. That is the creme de la creme of what we produce. That is the best stuff that we do. That is the best story. That's produced the best. That was filmed the best. Not everything that we produce as far as episodes go makes it to our Prime channel. It's gotta be just right. It's gotta be just right. And I want to keep it so. It's kind of like the black car model when you think about, like, you know, when you call your Uber driver and you say, well, you get to pick what quality. That's our top quality.
Gotcha.
But it also takes a long time for that to upload or to go through that process of being reviewed and then accepted onto the channel. So, like, we've got several videos in the queue right now that we're just waiting to publish. But then we also publish, like, Carbon TV is such a great partner of ours. Awesome. And that's a place where you can go and you can watch everything that's outdoor related. Or if you're a farmer or anything outdoors, you know, recreation minded, fishing, hunting, all of that. Camping, trapping, my God.
Yeah, there's something for everyone on Carbon.
You go to
cool
YouTube,
stuff.
and we're on YouTube, but I don't know if I really care for YouTube. I mean, hey, whatever. We stream everything on. We have our channel, and we have 4 seasons right now on YouTube. But we don't really go out of our way to, like, promote YouTube because there's so many different avenues. There's everybody and so outdoors on YouTube.
Mhm.
And you know, we're not video loggers. We like to produce something that's a different type of quality, so it's not so cut and dry, just like chop, chop, you know,
Right,
clip, and then here you go. It's like we want to produce a storyline.
Mhm.
And that's not exactly what YouTube is, as you know. YouTube
Right,
is more like, let's go watch a short vid or whatever. Sometimes they fit perfect, sometimes not. And at Facebook, we stream everything. I think we always, first thing I do when we finish an edit and we go through the approval process is we publish it to YouTube. We give it a couple days, then publish it to Facebook. At the same time, simultaneously publish it up to Carbon TV. That usually takes a couple days to publish. And then if it's that black car model, you know, we'll upload it to the Prime channel. And that takes 2 or 3 months to publish.
Interesting.
Yep.
So the best way to get a hold of you guys or follow you guys is going to be on Facebook, I'd imagine. I mean, Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, follow us on Facebook and you keep up with everything.
Perfect. And then if they want to get a hold of you or talk to you, I mean, we enjoyed talking to you guys. Send them a message on Facebook and tell them about how great their videos are. I mean,
comment on videos.
Comment
too.
on stuff that helps them out a lot.
Yeah.
Like them on YouTube. And
I think people don't realize too, every like and every comment also can improve reach on different platforms. Like if you share your video to a page or something, you hit the like button, well then that sends it up as it'll pop up on more and more people's stuff.
We love the feedback, whether it's
good or bad.
Good or bad, yeah.
So
100%, man. I don't mind if it's bashing us a little bit. If you don't like something, let it. I mean, quite honestly, we got thick skin. I mean, we put ourselves out in public eye, and we know, just like you guys.
Yep.
And if you don't like it, well, either don't watch it or let us know what you don't like, because we're not going to sit there and retaliate. We're just going to try to make it all the better. That is it.
Yeah,
100%.
There's that crowd on YouTube that just hates every video.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
for sure.
Yeah,
They're
personal or whatever the reason is, doesn't matter.
YouTube is the worst for that.
Yeah.
That's maybe another reason you don't want to get into all that sort of stuff.
Thanks, gentlemen. Hope maybe we'll see some more fishing videos come up on Chase Nation.
Absolutely.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But
I
all
hope
right,
so.
guys, thanks for listening. And I know we talked about DIY hunts, but I guess you're gonna have to tune into the next one because it's gonna be good.
This is Avid Outdoors.